if she had believed their promises, if she had trusted the gifts, the smiles, the friendly words, the Carib Islands would have vanished without resistance. Because colonization never begins with violence, it begins with lies. And the woman who saw through them became the greatest threat the French never expected. Her name was Queen Limaha, an island ruler who refused to surrender her land, her people, or her identity to a foreign empire. This is the story of the queen who turned islands into weapons, a tale of cunning resistance against overwhelming odds. Before European ships ever touched the Caribbean, the islands were alive with freedom. The Carib people ruled themselves, guided by the sea, the forests, and ancestral law. There were no kings from across oceans, no foreign flags claiming their shores. This was the world. Limaha was born into a world where leadership meant protection, not domination. She learned the rhythm of the tides, the hiding places of the reefs, and the winding paths through jungles where outsiders would inevitably get lost. From a young age, she was taught one crucial lesson: the sea brings both opportunity and danger. When French ships first appeared on the horizon, they didn't arrive with cannons blazing. They came as traders. They offered gleaming tools, promises of powerful alliances, and pledges of protection from rival tribes. Many of the surrounding islands, tempted by these offers, accepted. But Limaha did not. She watched them closely. She noticed the way their eyes lingered on the fertile land, the way their questions probed for weaknesses in their defenses, and the way every gift seemed to come with unspoken expectations. She understood something deadly. These men were not guests. They were scouts, mapping out a conquest. So, Limaha set the terms. She allowed limited, tightly controlled contact. No permanent settlements, she declared. No forts on her shores. No stockpiling of weapons. The French commanders smiled and agreed to her conditions. And then, they broke every single promise. Simple wooden structures appeared overnight, evolving into fortified posts. French flags were raised, a bold claim on soil that was not theirs. Soldiers, not traders, began to disembark. The mask had slipped. Limaha knew colonization had begun. But she didn't panic. She prepared. She acted with a quiet, deliberate urgency that the French mistook for submission. Villages were methodically moved inland, away from the vulnerable coastlines. Vast stores of food were hidden in secret caves and jungle caches. Her warriors didn't train for brute strength to face muskets and cannons head-on. They trained for speed, for stealth, for a new kind of warfare the Europeans couldn't comprehend. Limaha knew her people could not win a traditional war, so she refused to fight one. The first French losses weren't in battle, they were in the shadows. The attacks came at night, swift and silent. Supply ships, anchored in what seemed like safe coves, were found burning by morning, their precious cargo lost to the sea. Small outposts, established with great effort, were discovered, abandoned, their garrisons having vanished without a trace. French patrols that marched into the dense jungle simply never returned. Swallowed by a landscape that fought alongside its people, the colonizers called it chaos. Limaha called it defense. Infuriated by this invisible enemy, the French commanders responded with the only methods they knew: brute force and terror. They escalated their campaign, burning villages, destroying crops, and taking prisoners. Their goal was to break Limaha's spirit, to crush her will, to resist through overwhelming fear. But it had the opposite effect. Their brutality only sharpened her strategy. It confirmed what she knew from the start, that there could be no compromise. Limaha masterfully avoided large-scale battles where French firepower would be decisive. Instead, she waged a war of 1,000 cuts. She denied the enemy a moment's rest, a single peaceful night. Her warriors would strike, melt back into the jungle, and then strike again somewhere else. Every path became a potential ambush, every stream a source of danger. She made every inch of the island a battleground, turning the jungle itself into her greatest weapon. For the French, colonization became an exhausting, expensive, and unstable nightmare. The cost of holding the island was bleeding them dry in both gold and men. But this resistance came at a heavy price for her people as well. Limaha lost warriors in the constant skirmishes. She lost family members to the violence. She saw parts of her ancestral lands occupied and defiled. The weight of these losses was immense, yet she never once considered surrender. Because surrender meant more than just defeat. It meant the erasure of her people, their culture, and their entire way of life. In time, the overwhelming resources of the French Empire allowed them to claim control of the island on their maps. They built their forts and flew their flags. But they never achieved peace. They never truly ruled the land. The Carib spirit, forged in the fire of Limaha's resistance, was never broken. Her legacy of defiance lived on, inspiring generations to continue the fight long after she was gone. The French never ruled easily, haunted by the ghost of a queen who refused to kneel. History, written by the victors, tried to forget her. Empires prefer the silence of submission over the stories of resistance. But the islands remembered. Her story was passed down not in textbooks, but in the hushed tones of oral tradition. In songs sung around fires, and in the very spirit of survival that defined her people. Queen Lamaha proved something incredibly powerful. You don't defeat an empire by matching its strength. You defeat it by refusing to disappear. She ruled no grand empire and wore no crown of gold. But she defended a people and their freedom, and that is the strongest power of all. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your favorite topic you want me to cover next. Your support helps bring these forgotten queens back to life. Thanks for watching.